especially Wilt, in my opinion, because they were playing guys that just weren't their caliber, which is why I would have Kobe ahead of Wilt, maybe ahead of Russell as well.
Yeah, and that's where the big man and the dominance and the errors come into play. No way LeBron is above Kobe. Albert says, I agree, man. Like 100%, man. No disrespect. KD 13 is crazy. Josh, you mean it's too high or too low? I think it's too high.
I
Right
think
now.
it's too high as well. I wonder what Josh thinks. Now, Josh is he's in our Discord. You know that Twitter Spaces, Tony,
Yeah,
that you help us do sometimes.
but I
Josh
got to
is.
get back on, man. I got
Oh
to
no,
get
that's
back on that.
yeah, absolutely, anytime. But Josh is in the Discord for that. I don't know if you remember that or not, but
Yes.
he is from Denver. He says way too high. Okay, we agree. We're all on the same page here.
Yes. And again, this is for everybody to know. I didn't have the thing up there, but it's from Bleacher Report. So Bleacher Report put this out. So hey, listen, a little bit of this. I don't even know who goes into making these lists. Honestly, like, and you can't tell me that there's no narrative in here to get clicks and to have clickbait and have conversations, right? We all know that. But I honestly think Magic is too high.
Okay, so you see Magic Johnson behind me, right?
I know. That's all I mentioned it.
So it depends how you look at it. Magic is another guy that you could say actually changed the game. When he came in 1979, you hadn't seen a 6'9" guard that could do the things he was doing. Now, you put that 6'9" guard in today's game, and it's like, it's still special, but it's not what it was. So, and I think of Steph in a similar way where they come in and it's like, oh, this is different. Like, we've never actually seen this before, where a 6'9" guy who can dunk and who can shoot is passing like we've never seen before. And oh, by the way, he can play center, he can play power forward, he can play small forward, shooting guard, and point guard. Like, it was just the versatility that he could offer made him like an actual unicorn. I would have him ahead of Kareem, to be honest with you. And I'd have him third. I'd have MJ, LeBron, Magic, and then maybe Kareem.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You make a good point though, right? Because it is true. When nobody knew what to do with him, right? Honestly, I mean, and we look at this a lot when we look at a lot of people on this list. Obviously, listen, Jokic at 17. Okay, above Dirk. I'm sorry. Like,
no way.
No way.
Oh, I was going to tell you, like, Dirk, like, first of all, KG shouldn't be ahead of Dirk. Oscar Robertson shouldn't be ahead of Dirk. And I don't know about Jerry West or even Akeem.
See, I think people get carried away. See, I do. Yeah. I think we live in a society where nobody looks back. Everybody looks like now my God, Jokic, MVP, Jokic does everything. Oh, did you ever watch Dirk Nowitzki play? Like not even looking at his stats and his accolades. Just watch him play. That dude was a freak of nature. And I know you'll combat me and say, well, that's how Jokic is right now. Now, this is different, man. This is different. I don't think that dude ever hit the rim. Like his shot was so smooth. I don't think it ever hit the rim. So
he was also a guy that was doing the I'm tall, I play center, but I shoot threes thing. Like, speaking of guys who revolutionized the game, remember what the rap was on Dirk Nowitzki? It was like, oh, he's soft. He doesn't play inside. It's like, no, actually, he's smart. He's taking the three because he can. He's a matchup nightmare. Like, that was before people really understood that centers might have to go out and guard guys at the perimeter, or even power forwards might have to go out and guard guys at the perimeter. He absolutely changed that. He was one of the first guys that came in and established what this new NBA is, where the five is playing on the perimeter.
It's so, I think of those games with Dirk Nowitzki. I think of those playoff games. I think I just wish we could go back in time a little bit sometimes, man, because I know we listen, we're very blessed to be able to talk about this list and honestly say we probably watched at least 50-60% of these guys play, which, we look at the Admiral down there at David Robinson at number 19. Nobody ever speaks of the Admiral. Like nobody.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, him, Sean Kemp, first two guys to go, didn't go to college, came right in the league because obviously Robinson was in the Marine
Naval Academy.
Or the Naval Academy.
Yeah.
And then Sean Kemp he was the first one right from high school to the pros.
Yeah, Sean Kemp is an interesting one.
Right.
I think David Robinson and Tim Duncan are guys that, I mean, Tim Duncan gets his respect because he's number 7 on this list. Let me ask you this, because I see comments about Larry Bird. I think Larry Bird definitely belongs in the top 10. I'm just wondering, is he in the right spot?
Yeah, man. I tell you, I'm going to say it's a lot. It's going to sound cliche, but I keep saying a lot of guys get forgotten about, right? And Larry Bird, his shot. I mean, I guess it's Bird or Steph that to say the best shooter ever in the game. And I think Steph's really coming up to going neck and neck with this guy because there wasn't a shot that Larry couldn't make back then, and that was his MO. And a lot of people forget about that. It was like, how do we just stop this guy? This guy just continues to hit shots, and we see it right now. And it wasn't a 3-pointer, man. It was that 20, 25 footer. And now you got Steph who's just making it rain from the logo, and with the quickest flip of the wrist I've ever seen. So, you could look at both of these guys and be like, who's the best shooter of the game ever? And right now it's still got to be Larry. And at number 8, I think I got to slide him above Tim Duncan, man.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. I think 7 is probably where first of all, I think Steph is the best shooter ever, but they were different types. Like, again, speaking of different eras, like Bird from 15 to 20, like, was so pure. But here's the thing that people don't appreciate about Bird, and it's hard to see when you go back and look at highlights. You're going to see like the fadeaway jumper and all those types of things. Try to check out some YouTube clips where Bird is passing. This dude was ridiculous. Okay, first of all, when we think of like, especially like white players that are like really good passers, we think of like Jason Williams, right? Go back and look at Larry Bird, because I'm telling you, he was doing, I've seen these clips recently because Tony, I have 2 kids, 6 and 8, Brexton and Kingsley, and they are crazy into basketball, like in a good way. These rankings, they would have a ton to say about all these. I'm not even joking. Like they know the stats, know the MVPs. They just study it. So we go back and we look at clips of Magic and we watch them together. And I watched some stuff with Larry Bird and I was like, oh, I don't remember this part of Larry Bird's game. He was an absolute dog, not just with the shooting. He could pat, like kind of like MJ, like a Magic Johnson. Like, this guy was dishing it. He was a magician.
I'll tell you what, man. You just mentioned Jason Williams. You talk about throwing some passes. I mean, what was he? Was he White Chocolate? Was that his name?
That was right? White Chocolate. Yep.
White Chocolate, right? But no, you're right. And I think, a lot of times, because we already know that Larry, whether him or Steph, best shooter in the game, but we're not thinking about his passing ability. We never are, especially back then, because you look at those Celtics teams and he was the guy. Let's be honest. I mean, yeah, you got McHale down low, but if it's and Robert Parrish, the chief, getting the boards, but if it's not, then Larry shooting the ball, you're not really looking at him to pass. So when he did, it was pretty insane. Now Jeff says right here, this is an interesting one. How is see, I will say this. I have a really bad tendency to hate players, not because of their skill set, but because of the way they act. Yeah. And all I ever remember on Karl Malone is he was such a bitch when it came to with those series against Chicago. Michael hit my hand, he slapped my hand. Like, bro, you're out there. I mean, you're in the wrestling ring, for Christ's sake, and all of a sudden now you're worried about people hitting your fingers and your hands. So that kind of bothered me. I always been like, dude, just fight through it, man. Like, come on.
So interesting too about Karl Malone, and you may not know this, and I don't have all the details on it, but certainly post career, I felt like people learned some stuff about him that was like not great, but again, I might be reading into it. So I'm not here to cast any allegations, but like, I definitely think his reputation post career, like is parallel to what you're talking about, like in terms of being on the court. Karl Malone shouldn't be in the top 10. And the reason for me is because he was kind of a one-trick pony. Like he will hit every shot, especially from the baseline, from 12, 13, 14 feet and in. And yeah, of course, he was super strong and could take you inside to some degree as well and just kind of wall you off with his massive shoulders and his body. But I don't think he had the versatility that pretty much everybody else, or the dominance that pretty much everybody else on this top 10, top 12 have.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I will, and I think he's a guy that probably got overshadowed in the Jordan era. Right?
I mean, how many people? Like everybody did.
Yeah, it's
How many
crazy.
careers did in legacies did he steal because he was so good?
And that's why I say, see it. That's why, and I don't want to make this the debate, but that's why we say when people debate Michael and LeBron, I look at now and I know people say, well, with social media, now stop with the social media. Like, how many careers did LeBron burn? Like, no, or overshadow. It's
Mhm.
how many did Jordan? And we don't even talk about Reggie Miller in the same stratosphere. We don't even talk
No,
about Patrick Ewing in the
no.
same stratosphere, right? And it's even John Stockton. You talk about assist guys. How about
Mhm.
John Stockton? We don't even talk about it was in the Jordan era. Like
Yeah.
nobody got talked about in the Jordan era. So that's why Michael's so great.
Okay, so a good illustration of that. 91, 92, 93, they win the championship. He
Yep.
wins 1, 2, and 3. And then as you remember, he decides to go play baseball. And it was like, okay, the only reason we have Akeem at 12 on this list, and Akeem's a great center, a great player. The only reason is because he has 2 championships, and they were the 2 championships where Jordan decided he wanted to play a different sport. And what's so crazy about Jordan's dominance, because remember, he came into the league in 1984, I believe. So he came back from baseball, presumably not in the best shape, but let's just assume he was for the
Yep.
sake of argument. He comes back in, it would be 1996 to decide to play basketball again in his 12th year of his career, which back then was kind of a big deal. And then he rattles off 3 more championships. So it's almost like he was like, hey, I'm going to take a little break and I'm going to let a couple of you kind of form your legacy. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to crush everybody all over again. It's
I
crazy.
remember he came back actually in '95, right towards the end of the year, wore number 45 in representation of his brother Larry. And and listen, he won a game winner against Indiana. Right. So they didn't go in advance. And then he came in, like you said, and rattled off. And the biggest recipients of those 2 years is Rudy Tomjanovich, right? Because
Yes.
I mean, listen, no disrespect to Rudy. And I know Mad Max was on the podcast going, oh, yeah, it didn't matter. Yeah, it did. Stop. Like,
Come on. What do you mean it
man,
didn't matter?
like all of a sudden, like no, that team. I do feel bad because that Houston team was pretty goddamn good, man. Like obviously with Akeem the Dream, but yeah, guys like Clyde Drexler, or on the next stage of his career. That how ironic couldn't win in '92 on the Portland team against Michael, and then when Michael's out, he gets the ring. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, I mean, think of like those Indiana Pacer teams with Reggie Miller, like Rick Smits, the Davis brothers, like that. Mark Jackson, I think, was on that team. Like those were really solid teams. They didn't have a chance again, and obviously the Knicks, like they just couldn't get past Michael Jordan. Patrick Ewing's career, like he's nowhere. I don't know where he is on this list. Patrick Ewing was a great player. Like nobody thinks of him as a great player. Or at least the modern day people don't think of him as a great player because he doesn't have a ring. It's unfortunate. And that's Jordan's fault.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. It's because they couldn't get past that team, right? They couldn't get past that team. Tony Cutillo, seeing the job right here on the Tony Cutillo Show. Wherever you're following, make sure you get over. You follow Seeing the John on X. He's very, very active at Seeing the John on X, and follow me on the YouTube channel at Tony Cutillo Show. Now, my boy Rich checking in says having Wilt at 9 is a travesty, and he also says, and these are the numbers that fascinate me. He says you do realize the Big O was the guy to average a triple-double 30, 11, and 12 its entire career. I'll tell you what, man, that comes down to, you look at that, see it, and it's almost like that's kind of where people want to elevate Jokic to, averaging that kind of triple-double.
Yeah, I mean, again, the problem is it's so hard to compare something that was happening in like the 60s and 70s
Yes.
versus something that's happening in the 80s and 90s versus today. Like there's just the level of competition is just I feel like a little bit different for like Wilt and Oscar Robertson. That shouldn't take anything away from them, but when I'm measuring Oscar Robertson versus like a Larry Bird, for example, I'm going to have Larry Bird ahead. When I'm measuring Oscar Robertson against a Shaquille O'Neal, that argument is a little different probably, but I definitely think it's just, you're not going to be 100% right about the argument because it's so hard to compare them. But with all that said, because I know that the main topic here was Kobe Bryant, like
Yeah.
11 is kind of silly.
So let me ask everybody, because a lot of people checking in right now. Do we actually have 280 live viewers going on right now? That, we need to see. That's what happens when you get too serious, two guys that know what to do here. But that's just me being a little confident, not cocky. But 279 people. So right now, is Kobe just the question about this is, should Kobe be in or out of the top 10? And you could get a subplot to that is, who's your top three? Because for me, Kobe's in my top three. Like literally, Kobe is in my top three. I still, and I know a lot of people talk about it, but I don't think people. Somebody tweeted out the other day, was like, you don't really realize, what you have till it's gone. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, because I think Kobe was very heralded as a player. And I think a lot of times that Mamba mentality may have rubbed some people the wrong way. But a lot of people forget, say, MJ wasn't a good dude either. Right? Like,
so here's the thing about Kobe. You're absolutely right. I think, and when you stepped away at the front end of the show, I was basically saying that I wasn't a Kobe fan really at all until his career ended. And the reason for that is because I started to go on YouTube and I started to listen to him. And it occurred to me that the reason why he was, in my opinion, a ridiculous ball hog during like the All-Star game, like games that don't matter. It's like, dude, like relax, like give it to somebody else. The reason he's like that is because he had programmed himself to give 100% all the time. That's why when you were coming back from that, I was saying, like, that's why I wear my shirt the way I do, no matter like if I'm on the radio or on video. It's like that Mamba mentality. A lot of people didn't appreciate it, including myself, didn't really understand what the mindset was. But I get it now. And I understand that that's why he was so good. And that's why he could tear his Achilles and still knock down 2 free throws and walk off the court. Like, by the way, it's not like this is a guy who had 1 or 2 championships and then just kind of fell off. He had 5 rings. So whether you're a ring counter, which is usually kind of a very superficial argument, but still a decent one, if you're a ring counter, he should be in the top 5, top 6. And if you're not a ring counter and you take all the context and you put it together, he still should be in the top 5 or top 6. So being at 11 doesn't really make any sense to me.
So Josh says, guys, Jordan kept off the list here. I love it. Now this is great. My man Josh, your man Josh. Now he's gonna be my man Josh too.
Yeah,
I love this, Josh.
Subscribe, Josh. Subscribe to this YouTube channel.
Jordan kept off the list. Drexler, Barkley, GP, that's Gary Payton, I'm assuming, right? Yeah. The glove. Sean Kemp, Karl Malone, John Stockton, Isaiah Thomas, Dominique Wilkins, Patrick Ewing. I mean,
that's such a good take.
Up there.
That is such a good take. And I wonder if like eventually we can expand that list. But Josh, like that is a really, really like one of the best responses I've seen on a live show. Like for him to encapsulate that and actually put down the names is really cool.
And it just makes you think, man. It just makes you think how special. And I will say, I tell you, man, listening to all the reels of Kobe, like I didn't see a lot of that stuff because, back then we didn't have the access to a lot of those things. It was like we had, what was it? Inside the NBA with Ahmad Rashad. And that was it. Like, that's what I watched. Like, I didn't see all the Tonight Show highlights. I didn't see Kobe talking to the press all the time, right? So now when I see that and I hear him, I'm like, damn, you talk about a dude that was driven.
Yeah.
Like, and again, I kind of, I'll be honest, I blasted him in the beginning.
Me too.
Right? Because I didn't like the way the whole thing went down. And, I also said to myself, I didn't like the way he was portraying to be a city kid. I was like, bro, you grew up in Lower Merion.
Right.
You basically grew up in a gated community. Like, and I wasn't saying it, but I'm like, come on, man. Like, now, again, I seeing how, though, that he was really an ambassador of the game. And, oh, man, I'll tell you, man, it gives me chills. It gives me chills. And it makes me think, man, like, that's why I have no problem putting him as my number 2 over LeBron. I have no problem whatsoever.
Yeah, what's really tragic about, like, obviously it's tragic that he lost his life too, and we don't have to go down that road, but when you talked about an ambassador and a representative, he was going to be a huge ambassador to the WNBA as well.
Yes.
And granted, WNBA is flourishing to some degree, but I got to tell you, with everything they've got going for them right now, if they had Kobe behind them and perhaps Kobe's daughter behind them as well, like that just, I think, would have put a different level on the WNBA. Now they're going to get there and they're probably already there, but that to me was another sort of like side thing that people don't consider. This guy was really propelling or about to propel the WNBA as well.
Yeah, man, he really was. I mean, listen, his daughter's playing, and he was a huge. I think that's why I relate it. It's hard for me to say you relate to a star, right, or a superstar, but the way he was an advocate for his daughters, and he was a coach, and the stuff that I read about and the stuff that he would do as a coach, it reminded me of a lot of stuff I did with my daughter. Why I have such a great relationship with my daughter, and I was like, man, this dude is just a treasure. Like he really is, and I didn't see that before. Like
Me
I had
neither.
no idea. Right?
Well, he didn't show us, but hold on.
You're
It's
right.
not like it was our fault. He
True.
was very single-minded. He was going to do what Kobe needed to do, and so there was no way for us to see anything from Kobe except for the fact that he wanted to be the best person on the court at all times, even at times where it like didn't really make that much sense.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, you're absolutely right. Now, Josh checking in, he gives us his top three, and he says Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. So the only difference I have with Josh is I will put Kareem over LeBron. I put LeBron 4, but again, checking in, everybody checking in. What's your top three? I'm curious to see. The reason why I say top three is I want to see number one, is Kobe in there or is he not? Because I know the question is, should he be inside the top 10? I think that's asinine to think that he's not. And I think that I honestly think that was a little clickbait, honestly, to where they have them. I just my opinion, but we'll see. But I do like that top. What do you think? Is that kind of like your top three? I think, right?
My top three is Jordan, LeBron, and believe it or not, and this is a little biased, and I do think there's a generational aspect to this too. My number three is going to be Magic Johnson, and my number four is probably, because I'm kind of thinking out loud, it's got to be Kobe. It's going to be Kobe. So Kobe's four, out on the outside looking in, but pretty darn close.
Yeah, I was the exact same way about Kobe C's. As a part of me is I'm a Nuggets fan also. My man Mike checking in. What's up? Tipped in. Jeff checking in. Ring counter equals Bill Russell.
Yeah.
Ring culture, right? I mean, that's definitely Wilt averaging 50. See, now again, that I get it. That is absolutely insane. But I still have to say that Wilt has to be put like kind of in his own stratosphere because it was just a different time, right?
And like, so here's the thing. If we apply a little context, it's hard to find like Wilt Chamberlain highlights, but they're out there. Like, look what he was doing to get those points. Like literally, athletically, agility-wise, look what he was doing. Look where he was in proximity to the basket and all those things. I'm not trying to take credit away from him, but take Kobe's game where he scored 81 against Toronto. Look what he did to get 81, and look what Wilt did to get 100 for that game that everybody celebrates. It is a completely different manner in which these guys are getting their points. So that's why the eras and kind of comparing the eras, or at least being able to decipher what this era required and what another era required, that's really important to the argument, as opposed to just looking at the statistics.
Now, it's a little off the list, but this is an interesting question because you mentioned WNBA, and Josh says Kobe and CC, Caitlin Clark, would dominate the media. Now, I could take that two different ways because I would be really curious if God rest, if he was with us right now, what his stance would be on this whole Caitlin Clark Angel Reese debacle. Like I think he would have just this tremendous insight into it, that where people would look at and be like, you know what? He's a guy we listen to. Like, he's not doing this to get extra clicks and likes and follows and this and that. He's not trying to create adversity. Yeah. He's like, no, this is because see it like, I don't want to go down this hole, but the one thing I'll say about this is I mentioned earlier about us being blessed to be able to talk and say that we've watched 50 or 60% of these people. Same thing with the WNBA, man. Let's stop pinning everybody against each other. Like, right. I mean, we can turn on TV and watch, it's electric.
Yeah, so it's the thing about the comparison. Like, I understand why they're being compared, similar draft, like same draft class and all of that, but like, they do different things. And so, I mean, to me, like Caitlin Clark, like, this is just my opinion. Nobody asked. I think Caitlin Clark is certainly the bigger superstar. I think she's more versatile, but that doesn't mean that Angel Reese isn't great at what she does as well. And for the record, it doesn't mean they need to be pitted against each other. But I got to admit, whether it's the WNBA or the NBA, you come out the same draft class and you were clashing in college. Like, it's just like, it's almost immediate, not responsibility, but part of their job, they feel like, is to like make those comparisons. But the truth is, it's, to me, like they're both good players, and they're both in their own way growing the game. And to WNBA fans, at least, that's all that should matter.
I agree. I do. I said that from day one. You know, I think that looking at those two, the way they elevate, the biggest thing you said is what I so agree with, kept hammering home, is they do different things.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like when people talk about Steph Curry. He does different things, right? I mean, listen, let's be honest. Caitlin Clark is like the Steph Curry of the WNBA.
100%.
Right? I mean, let's think about it. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, I mean, she does so many different things. She's not going to hit 43s and, hit from the logo, but she's going to pound you down in the middle. She's going to get the rebound. She's going to be a double machine. So, I mean, like, let's like ease up and just, let's just relate. But let me ask you one guy that's not on here that I will say this. I want the audience to chime in on this guy too, is Tracy McGrady. A lot of times when we do these lists, now I got the full list up on my screen. He's 59.
Interesting.
Okay. And like, again, 7-time All-Star, 7-time All-MVP, or All-NBA, 2-time scoring champion. They respectively played 16 seasons. But this guy, if he didn't get hurt, there was a time, see, where he was, in my opinion, the best player in the NBA. And I mean, a certified baller, did everything. He was basically a 25.5 rebound, 5 assists, 1.5 steal, 1 block guy for 7 consecutive years, it says. He finished top 4 to 8 in MVP voting. And again, that obviously that one game where he dropped 13 points in 30 seconds to lead the Rockets to the victory over the Spurs in 2004. But do we forget about T-Mac, man?
So I'm going off memory here in terms of his career and his lack of championships, but I feel like he hit the holy trinity of things you can't have to have a legacy. One is he did have some injuries.
Yep.
2 is I don't think he won a championship, correct? No championships.
No championship.
And 3 is, and this is probably the biggest one, unfortunately, no disrespect to our neighbors to the north, if you're going to play in Toronto, you're probably not going to get as much publicity. So you play in Toronto for a lot of your career. You're injured here and there. You have no championships. Like, your legacy is that's a tough climb, period.
Now, you're right about Toronto. You're 100% right about Toronto. I mean, if you're going to play out in Toronto, you're going to get like 0 accolades. like really. I mean, even like Vince Carter, man, like, you think about, Vince Carter, and he doesn't get the accolades that he should get because honestly, I just think it's because he played in Toronto.
That's
I
right.
really do.
Yeah. That's gonna weigh you down quite a bit.
Tracy McGrady, listen to the, like, again, 98 to 2012, but there was a time period here. I gotta pull up this basketball reference just for these years, and it's specifically 2001 season down to, I would say, 2004, 2005. I mean, this guy was unbelievable. He played almost the entire season. The lowest games was 67, but mainly averaged about 78. But you're talking 26.8, 25.5, 32-1. That season, 2002, 2003 for Orlando, I mean, dude, it was insane. Insane.
The way people talk about Tracy, I've heard other NBA players talk about Tracy McGrady, and they talk about him in a way that it's very clear we don't appreciate how good he was, how talented he was. By the way, Josh has a question. I'm very curious about this. Our guy, Allen Iverson, where's he at on the list?
It's so funny when we talk about AI because in the background, you can't see it. It's kind of over on the right. You see a little poster of him, but I have his jersey next to it. I always say, people say, why do you have those 3 jerseys up, Jordan, Kobe, and AI? And for me, they're not my top 3 players of all time, but my top 3 guards. of all time. So Allen Iverson, again, no ring. I get it. He'll always be remembered for being a problem child and this and that. But if you really took that ignorance out of play, you'll remember that after the Fab Five, they came in with the baggy shorts but AI changed the culture of the game.
Oh yeah.
He changed it with the tattoos, with the cornrows, with the music. Like he changed everything. I'm telling you right now, the reason why we have DJs in NBA arenas is because of AI. And I watched him play, and I watched a dude that no matter what was never going to work out. I watched a dude that no matter what was never going to be that mentor-y kind of player. But see it when you talk about somebody leaving it all out on the court all the time. I'll tell you what, go back and watch him. And his first 4 or 5 that this dude, he was literally one of the most unstoppable players I've ever seen play.
Well, I mean, we saw it at Georgetown. Like they would literally put when the game was on the line, they would just take the other 4 players and they put them on the baseline. It was just ISO ball. And he was so lethal with his dribble and then pulling up from 14, 15, 16 feet and knocking down a shot. But what was so crazy about him, talk about leaving it out on the court, like this dude was barely 6 feet, probably 5'11 and 3/4, 165, 170 pounds on a good day. And he was taking it to the rim how many times a game against guys that were like way bigger and stronger than him, that he knew he was going to land on the ground when he was going up against them. What, 30, 40 times a game he was landing on the ground?
I mean, crazy. He was so battered and bruised, and it was a big reason why they were like, Allen, Larry Brown would kind of just tell him like, you're getting completely obliterated. He didn't care. That was his game, right? Yeah. That was his game. So I feel very fortunate to watch him play. Right, Josh says he's at 36. So which is interesting. So we have AI at 36, and I'll do this real fast. So 30, so right above and behind him. So this is always pretty interesting because this goes 100. So obviously that's another time, another day. So above him, 37 is Bob Cousy, and there's an old timer for you. And below is Steve Nash.
Okay, Steve Nash, I kind of get. He was really good and such like his. He was like Chris Paul before Chris Paul, right? I mean, is that how you'd look? Except maybe more creative.
I like that. Yeah, CP3 before. Yeah, 100%, 100%.
I think AI at 36 is a little low, but I don't think it's crazy low. I think AI at like 30 is where I probably would have put him.
Now, I love that. Check this one statement out, and these are the things that really stick with me. Michael Jordan and Jerry West are the only others to average at least 25, 5 assists, and 2 steals for their careers. The only other guy is the answer. So you're talking about AI is in company with MJ and Jerry West for something that has never been replicated. So, I mean, that's crazy. Now, he was at one time, they've done this before. He was at one time at 21. So his highest top 100 ranking was 21 for AI. But man, I'll tell you, I was definitely lucky. Now, here's where I have a problem. James Harden is at 34. So you're going to put Harden over AI. Hell.
So the only argument for Harden, I think, is that while AI had a pretty long career, he was only at the top of his game probably while he was with Philly. So how many years was that? 6? I'm guessing.
Yeah, about 7 years.
So Harden, to his credit, and I don't disagree with you, but Harden's been playing at a high level basically since he left OKC. So, I mean, what are we talking, like 14, 15 years at this point? That would be the only argument for Harden, I think, over
16
AI.
Seasons. He's 16 seasons. He's 24 points per game. One-time MVP, 8-time All-Star, or 8 All-NBA, 11-time All-Star, 3-time scoring champion, and 2-time assist champion and 6th man of the year. I don't know if that, like, maybe it's the statistical outpoint, but I don't know, man. Like I think sometimes what are we going by? Are we just going by statistics?
No, we can't just go by statistics.
Right. So for me, if I'm not going by statistics, there's no way in hell that AI is not above James Harden. But if we're going by complete statistics, it feels like that's what they're doing, because I think that's why he's there.
But what about the longevity argument? Like he's done it at a high level for a little bit longer than AI had.
Yeah. So let me see. AI's total career is 14 seasons.
But the last like 4 or 5, like weren't.
It was kind of like the Detroit years, the Denver years. He went over Turkey and played. Yeah. So I maybe it's just hard because I know how bad James Harden screwed the city a little bit, but
oh well.
In Philly, I mean, he gave us some good times. I will say that. Billy Ball says Kobe being outside the top. Interesting. Is correct. He was the best player on his team for 2 of his rings. Was the only best player in the league for I don't agree with that.
But first of all, even if that's true, that shouldn't be held against him. That'd be saying like D Wade isn't a very good player because he played with LeBron when he got most of his rings. It's like, yeah, Shaq was dominant. Part of the reason they were so good is because they had 2 dominant players. I don't think you should hold Shaq against Kobe. And I think it is a credit to Kobe that he did it with Shaq and then did it without Shaq. I think that's very telling, actually. Because Paul Gasol isn't exactly like, I don't know where he is on this list, but I guarantee he's not in the top 50. So it's not like when he did it with Paul Gasol, it was like, oh, he's got another like partner in crime. It was basically Kobe's team again.
So one last question, Josh says Harden or Westbrook
in their prime. Is that the question?
I'm assuming that's what it is. Yeah. I'm assuming prime Harden or prime Westbrook.
I mean, I think Harden might be the answer to both, but I love Russell Westbrook.
I love Westbrook. I think I would go Westbrook. I think just because of that, I think he has the dog mentality and Harden.
100%. Okay, first of all, like that all dog team that leaves it out on the floor. Allen Iverson and Russell Westbrook are in that starting 5. I don't know how to fill the rest out off the top of my head, but
that'll be another show. Be another show. Nobody has D Wade in their top 10 all time. No.
No, that's true. But that was, that's true. But like, that's not the point I was making. I was just making the point that like, you can have a super team. Like KD played with Steph Curry. And again, it was only for a few years, but like, it doesn't, just because they were great, it doesn't take anything away from KD or Steph that they actually played together.
Man, this could go on all night.
Could.
It is crazy. I mean, listen, I think, me and you have talked before, and I really appreciate you joining up tonight. I know you got a lot of stuff going on. Make sure you give them a follow at Seeing the John, follow at Tony Cutillo Show, wherever you get your socials or YouTube page, whatever. But, I think like the next time that we could get on together, I really want to do like guys, this just sparked a debate for me, but guys that we don't look at. We mentioned some of them, but maybe guys that aren't getting that notoriety. What kind of team could we build with guys that don't get that notoriety? Because I tell you what, we're going to be talking about Westbrook saying he didn't get the accolades he should have got one day.
I think about that. To be honest with you, I think about that all the time in all sports. Like we could do it for football too. There's so many guys that we just like forget about. And then if we ever remember their names or if they come up in concept, we're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I forgot about him. He's so good. We could absolutely do that for basketball. I honestly have I think I have a running list of guys like that. So I'm happy to come on and talk about that.
Yeah, we will definitely have to do that, man. But listen, I just want to give a thanks to not only See It, but to everybody joining in. I mean, 359 live viewers. All right, for real, like consistently 359 live viewers.
Make sure they're subscribed to your YouTube page, man, because you do a ton of stuff. I'll be jumping in with you every once in a while too. Just saying,
man, it's football coming though, man. I can't wait. Yeah. You ready? You ready for football?
I'm never ready.
What do you got going on now? Let everybody know, because you're all over.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing shows every day on the Early Edge,
right?
Sports Line YouTube channel. Hopefully, everybody's subscribed to that as well. But yeah, every morning at 10, and then I've got other shows on CBS Sports Network, usually at 12 or 1 o'clock. We cover a lot of football. We're doing team by team profiles, like. Maybe I'll jump on a show like maybe a betting oriented as opposed to fantasy, maybe a betting oriented show where we talk about some of our favorite like futures or stuff like that.
We always have fun with that.
Yeah, because I've been doing a lot of that lately. So
Yeah, I literally just before we came on, I recorded like 3 or 4 futures for Odd Shopper. So
nice.
I definitely want to we'll do it because we used to get some really good future shows on Sirius.
Mhm.
So that was always fun. That was always fun. But see you, man. I really appreciate you checking it. Everybody, we're gonna get out of here. Appreciate everybody jumping on, man. It's been fantastic. Like I always say, man, make sure you subscribe everywhere at Cena John on X, at Tony Cutillo Show on X and YouTube channel. Check out, see his great work. And again, everybody for checking in. We'll be back here next time. Everybody stay safe and stay healthy. We'll catch you.